Yeah, I think that's very important, and all it takes for you to start with is, you need to have some courage to start somewhere. Like you can listen to all these beautiful stories, challenge it, accept it, whatever you want to do. But end of it, if you don't take one step forward and say that, okay, let's test it and see, is it real or is it going to happen? It's, I don't know. Yeah, so it's, you
Yeah.
have to do that.
No, I think it's high time that we start embracing technology and we start giving, we all know that we are heading towards a time where we will have to if we don't. So this change would be forced if we don't embrace it. So I think it's high time we start taking that, we start going through and applying these techniques to our daily work so that our audit function is more forward looking at it, and it delivers the value that board and audit committee is looking for. Um, so let's move on to the final phase. It's reporting. And what I see typically internal audit reporting, the way it is done, internal audit reports do the function a great disservice. When I see what is our final product which goes to the board and audit committee, these are internal audit reports. And if those internal audit reports don't communicate the message that they should, then all the effort that we put together from planning and fieldwork and now reporting is kind of wasted. And also the initiative is lost by the time audit report is issued to decision. And I've seen that, typical audit started through the planning and then few weeks of field work, then again few weeks of reporting and then reviews. And by the time the report is out, it's we have consumed a lot of time that the real initiative that was trying to highlight to the attention of the board and audit committee, that's already lost. And I do understand that we do have those channels of communication with board and audit committee where we can bring urgent matters to their attention. And other piece that I see missing in the audit reports, Farooq, and that's an important one. These reports report opinion on sufficiency of internal controls rather than full range of risk responses. So in a typical audit report, when I'm reporting an issue, I talk about whether internal controls are sufficient or not in a particular area. But that's just one side of looking at it. There are whole multiple of risk factors which are linked and relying on each other. And if one of those risk indicators change, the scenario changes in many other way. So I come up with these findings in a very siloed approach because my risk assessment is not embedded. My internal controls testing is based on a sample basis and very siloed. So how do we make sure, firstly, that I improve on the timing of that report, the time I'm spending? How do I reduce that? And how do I make sure that the issues I'm reporting are actually taking care of an organizational view rather than a very siloed internal control based view?
Yeah, this is a lot of time consuming activity where we say that where we see that a lot of time is been spent on preparing reports. But what I would say is that, by having such a proactive system, and the first page of the report always has to be, how many decisions have you made based on the recommendations given by the system. It's not about a system giving you a lot of recommendations, but are you really acting on it? So, and when it goes to the top management or the board of directors, the first thing is that, what do they want to see? Basically, are they looking at the social development? Are they looking at the economic development? Or are they looking at finances? Or are they looking at, is it a non-profitable organization, the benefit of the society, or whatever it is? So with regards to that as a context, whatever is the the target and the goals of the organization, the reports, let's say you take a typical audit report where you say that, I've got 5 findings, and just presenting those findings to your board of directors, they may not get the real picture without telling them what is the financial impact and what is a regulatory impact and what is a reputational impact. I remember one of my experiences, doing an audit, when I was presenting an audit report, audit finding. He said, okay, I've got a compliance deviation. Okay, that's fine, we will manage it. Then I told, okay, this compliance deviation is a regulatory issue. He said, we will address it. Okay. Then I said, you're going to have $100,000 fine coming up by the early next month. That's when he started, okay, how can you look into a financial impact, right? So you've got a compliance deviation, which is a regulatory issue. Now if you don't address it, you're going to be in the newspaper for all the wrong reasons, because it was a government organization, and you're going to have all these things coming to you. But what I'm trying to tell you is that the impact of each of the finding, and you already have the risk assessment, which is more of a proactive. So what you have is very simple dashboard to all the users based on their roles within the organizations, and they don't really need reports anymore. That's what I feel,
Yeah,
because
no, I would just want to clarify here the IIA's standards, they're not asking for doing a report. They're talking about communicating the results of the audit, and it can be in any form. And what you're telling me, Farouk, so my internal audit report is getting generated on the move.
yeah, it is, because you've already giving all the inputs, because report is a byproduct. So we have done all the hard work. So I don't think you have to sit alone again on another few weekends to prepare them, or get. So even the approval cycle, based on the recommendation, it goes to the relevant people, and if they're not acting it, it can also be escalated to the next level. So those things can be done very much. So it's on the move, and it is dynamic.
And I have one more question. So this is in terms of timing. So I've improved my timing
Yeah.
significantly. It's very dynamic on the move report, pretty much ready with the dashboards, which give a whole business spectrum. But how do I bring this perspective of linking my observation with the business objectives? You know, in a typical audit report, I would just say and typically talk about the sufficiency of internal controls, whether internal controls are weak here, and we found these control weaknesses or compliance issues. But how do I communicate these observations, or how do I put these observations forward where I can make a connection with business objectives and I can talk to the decision makers in their language?
I think that's a very important point which you have brought on. Generally, what happens is that I believe the process is the heart of your business. So whatever findings you have, it is generally connected to your business processes and its relevant controls. So as and when you have the findings, it gets automatically updated into your business process portfolio, right? And then because the moment you have them listed as a high risk in your business process portfolio, what happens is that then it becomes a part of your risk assessment. So as risk assessment is not only a static and predefined one, it falls in line and it has to get treated.